Ever accidentally deleted something you really needed? Like that one file you know you shouldn't have touched. You cringe, right?
Ugh, tell me about it.
Well, today we're talking about something kind of similar, but way more nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah, we're diving into the world of deleting data in PHP SQLite. One tiny mistake and poof, it's gone, potentially causing a digital meltdown.
No pressure, right. So for this deep dive, we're using a guide from plus2net.com all about deleting SQLite data with PHP.
It's a good one, a solid resource for sure. And you already know your way around web dev, but just a quick reminder, PHP, that's our scripting language for today, is how we talk to SQLite, which is a compact database that often lives right inside your application.
So it's less about having this big separate database server and more like keeping things tidy right in your project folder, kind of like your own little data notebook.
Exactly. Totally different from those bulky client-server databases. It's like the difference between having a personal notebook and a massive library, you know?
And today, we're learning how to erase those notebook pages carefully, not just scribble all over them.
Precision is key. Think of it like using a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. Let's say you have a customer database, and you need to delete one single entry. This guide shows you how to use unique IDs, which are like digital fingerprints for each piece of data.
Super specific. But what about keeping things secure? There's always a way to mess things up, right?
Oh, absolutely. But that's where bind param comes in. It's a method that basically stops hackers in their tracks by preventing something called SQL injection.
SQL injection. Okay, now you have my attention.
Imagine someone trying to sneak a fake ID into a pile of real ones. That's basically what these hackers try to do, sneaking malicious code into your database. But bind param is like having a super strict bouncer at the door, only letting in the data you've specifically approved for deletion.
Wow. Okay. Bind param is our new best friend then. So we're talking serious control here.
Exactly. You're in the driver's seat, deleting only what's necessary, no accidental data casualties allowed.
Okay, so we've got the single record delete down. Nice and precise. But what happens when we need to delete multiple records? Like, let's say we have a database of books, and we want to get rid of all the books by a certain author.
Ah, a digital book burning.
Exactly. Maybe the author's gone rogue, their publisher's furious.
Yeah.
You get the idea. So how do we handle that?
Well, in that case, it's less about a scalpel and more about, say, a really well-aimed laser.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Right. This is where the where clause comes in handy with SQL. You can use it to target specific records based on certain conditions. Like in your book example, we'd tell it to look for the author's name. The Plus2Net guide uses an example with student records, but the principle is the same.
So instead of zeroing in on a unique ID, we're saying if a record has this value in this column, get rid of it.
You got it. But here's the thing, that where clause, it's got to be perfect, like absolutely perfect. One little mistake, one misplaced character, and you might accidentally delete way more than you intended.
Whoa, okay. Now you're making me nervous.
Yeah, it's serious stuff. I actually heard a story once about a developer who almost wiped out their entire customer database because of a tiny typo in their where clause.
Ouch. Not good. Definitely taking notes here. So let's say we actually do want to just delete everything in a table. Total reset button. How does SQLite deal with that?
That's actually kind of interesting. SQLite doesn't have a simple truncate command like some other databases do.
No, empty the recycle bin option.
Not exactly, but you can still achieve the same thing. Instead of truncate, you just use a regular delete statement, but you leave out the where clause entirely.
Interesting. So it's less about having a separate command and more about efficiency.
Exactly. It's like SQLite is saying, we trust you know what you're doing, so here's the power to delete everything. But of course, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Absolutely. Which is why we need a way to double check that everything went according to plan. Bankaram keeps things secure, but how do we actually verify that the correct data was deleted?
Excellent point. You always want to make sure the deletion happened exactly as intended. And that's where the row count function comes in.
Okay, tell me more. How does that work?
It's really simple, actually. After you run a delete statement, whether it's for a single record, multiple records, or the whole shebang you call row count, and it tells you exactly how many rows were affected by that deletion.
So if I deleted, say, 5 records, row count would return a 5.
Exactly. It's like getting a receipt for your data deletion. You know for sure that everything went through as planned and that no data mysteriously vanished.
That makes sense. It's like checking your sent folder after sending an important email. Just because it's not in your drafts doesn't mean it actually went through. Always good to double check. Are there any other things to watch out for with row count?
So, row count. It's like our digital safety net, making sure our deletions go exactly as planned. Any quirks with it, we should be aware of.
Good point. It is generally reliable, but there are a couple of things to remember. For one, it only gives you a count for the last delete statement you ran. So if you're on a deleting spree, make sure you call it after each one to keep track.
Gotcha. So it's like hitting the reset button on a calculator after each calculation.
Exactly. And the other thing is row count will just return a big fat 0 if no rows were deleted.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. It does, but it can be easy to miss, especially if you were expecting something to be deleted and suddenly you don't see a count. It might mean your where clause was off, or maybe you already deleted that data before.
Okay, so always double check, especially if something seems out of place.
Exactly. A little caution goes a long way. And hey, speaking of going a long way, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. From picking off single records to wiping the slate clean, we've explored it all while keeping things safe and secure.
We've leveled up our data deletion skills for sure.
Absolutely. And the best part is these principles apply to other database systems as well. Precise targeting, understanding the risks, double-checking your work. These are fundamental for any developer working with data.
It's not just about PHP and SQLite then. It's about having that mindset of precision and respect for the data we're working with.
Well said. Because honestly, messing with data is no joke.
Definitely not. Big responsibility comes with those delete buttons. And for anyone who wants to explore even further, be sure to check out the full article on plus2net.com. You'll find the link in the show notes. Until next time, happy coding, and remember, delete responsibly.